This is the moment every lifeguard dreads. Two swimmers in distress, in heavy seas, almost a kilometre from help.
Very typical of Australians to go for swimming in the ocean there. On the day, very dangerous conditions, 3-metre surf. 5 people went to the beach, 3 went for a swim. 1 of them came back, but the other 2 unfortunately got taken out by a rip. So 120 metres offshore and very dangerous surf.
Almost 300 people drowned in Australian waterways last year. Eddie Bennett is Chief Executive of Westpac Little Ripper Lifesaver, a group using drone technology to save lives.
They made an emergency call which came through to the lifeguards from Surf Lifesaving New South Wales that we're working with the drones. The drone was launched immediately, went up the beach about 800 metres and found them straight away, saw they were in trouble and deployed the marine rescue pod, and the rest is history. It's the world's first real rescue of people in the surf by a drone.
The drone rescue took just over 1 minute, while it took beach lifeguards almost 5 minutes to get to the same spot. There are already 50 drones in service, locating swimmers in distress, dropping inflatable rescue pods or medical equipment such as mini defibrillators. Little Ripper has teamed up with University Technology Sydney to develop artificial intelligence technology which can use the drone's cameras to spot dangerous sharks.
On a number of occasions we've seen sharks, and sometimes in what could be quite dangerous circumstances. Only the other day the drone was used with the siren to alert people swimming in the water to the proximity of a shark, and they very quickly were able to exit the water. And from ground level on the beach you probably wouldn't have seen that shark, but from an aerial view with the drone, yes, you can see it.
Following last week's rescue, Mr. Bennett says several international organisations have contacted the company about potential applications of its drone technology, including the US Coast Guard. Drones are likely to play a much larger role in the years to come. Jamie Smith, Financial Times, Sydney.
If you've been walking around the streets of Southwark in South London recently, you may have spotted one of these. The UK capital is just one of several cities in 15 countries across the world where these autonomous 6-wheeled robots have been tested. Their mission? Delivering takeaway food. They've been developed by Starship Technologies, which has partnered with several major delivery companies, from Just Eat in the UK to DoorDash in the US.
But how do these things navigate the streets? And are people in a busy city like London really prepared to share their pavement space with a robot that's about the same size as a suitcase? And what happens if the robot meets challenges along its route? I want to try and find out by putting a Starship robot to the test.
It's late morning in London, and the FT's European technology correspondent Alia Ram fancies a pizza for lunch. She places her order on her smartphone using the Just Eat application. The order is then received at a pizza place near the FT. The pizza is made as usual, but rather than being given to a human being on a moped, it's loaded into the bowels of a Starship robot. During the testing phase, the robots are accompanied by human walkers who observe their progress.
The robot has a number of different sensors: ultrasonic, which is what you'd find on the back of your car when you're parking, radar, time of flight.
Okay, so what happens if I walk in front of it now? How's it going to get past me?
What will normally happen in this position is it will wait a while, see if you move.
Excuse me, would you please let me pass?
So what if I'm some kind of prankster and I don't want to let it pass?
So if you just stood there indefinitely, it will either try and get around you, and if it can't get around you, it's going to find a different way.
Yeah. Okay.
So the robot has mapped every single pavement in the local area, and if one of those pavements is blocked, it will find an alternative route.
How long would a robot like this take to deliver a pizza compared to a traditional human driver on a moped? It's going to be slower, surely?
At the moment, it's a little bit slower, yeah. This robot is best suited for those very short distances.
There are other limitations as well, aren't there? It's got wheels, and presumably it can't get to some addresses where there are stairs blocking its way.
So the robot can go anywhere where, say, someone in a wheelchair can go.
The robots, I'm told, are 99% autonomous. That means there are control centres of human beings monitoring them in case something goes wrong.
The robot has the 9 cameras. We had one occasion where someone was looking at the robot. We thought they might want to try and steal it. We sounded the alarm and they ran away immediately. When these incidents like that have happened in the past, totally random humans have come to the robot's aid to help out, which is really something quite amazing in this robot-human social interaction.
Alia, meanwhile, can track the robot's progress on her smartphone. The pizza arrives at the FT after just 25 minutes. Alia is then notified by an alert on her phone, and she collects her lunch without having to tip a rider. Starship's robots are already operating without human walkers in Estonia, in some towns in the US, and in Milton Keynes here in the UK. Artie Heinle is the co-founder, chief executive, and CTO of Starship. He's best known for co-founding the video call service Skype, but he has big plans for his delivery robots.
Next year, we will drive everywhere without people following robots.
So even in a densely populated urban area like London, this time next year we may be seeing these things operating independently.
That's true. That's true. We will start scaling this year. In 5 years, there could be, 1 million robots.
That's a big increase in Starship's global fleet, which today stands at just 150. Starship also says the business will be profitable in just 3 years. But are the company's ambitions realistic?
What if councils kick up a fuss about it operating on pavements? We've already seen councils resist the bike sharing apps that have launched in the UK, dockless bikes that stand on pavements. They've objected on the basis that they're a nuisance. I think a lot of it will depend on what kind of clearance they get and how people respond to them. Currently there are only 20 of these robots in London. When there are hundreds or thousands, the reaction might be quite different.
The robot turned heads, but people reacted positively to it, for now at least. And some hurdles remain before we see fleets of them operating independently in busy cities across the world. Daniel Garahan, Financial Times, London.
This, in fact, is our new American moment. There has never been a better time to start living the American dream. There has never been a better time to start living. We will build gleaming new roads, bridges, highways, railways, and waterways all across our land. Let's begin tonight by recognizing that the state of our union is strong because our people are strong. Let's begin tonight by recognizing that the state of our union is strong because our people are strong.
Anyone who's renewed a season ticket for UK rail travel recently will have noticed an unwelcome change. Prices for season tickets and off-peak fares went up by an average 3.4% from January the 2nd. At a time when most people's real wages are flat, the change has sparked cries of outrage. Most people seem to assume, though, that the price increase is the private train operating company's fault and helps to fatten their profits. But it's more complicated than that. For every £1 you spend on your train ticket, only between 2 and 3 pence end up as profit for the train operator. The bulk of the money either covers the operator's own costs, goes to the company that owns the track, or directly to the government. The fares are going up because successive governments have thought it's fair for passengers to pay a higher proportion of each journey's costs, and for taxpayers to pay less. In 2016, ticket revenue paid for 66% of the rail system's costs. That figure still leaves taxpayers picking up a third of the bill. But it's a lot better than 10 years ago, when fare payers were meeting just 44% of the costs, and the government wants that shift to continue. There are two ways of looking at that. The government's view is that since passengers get most of the benefit of the train service, they should be the ones to pay for it. Other people argue that the benefits to the country of train travel just justify letting taxpayer pay a big slice of the bill. Taxpayers pay a big slice of the bill.
what the mind was. Ha! This apparent paradox is fundamentally due to the greater frequency of mediocre deviations than of extreme ones, blank between limits separated by equal widths. Pinioned.
Introduction. The link between capitalism and drugs reaches back to the middle of the 19th century, when the British Empire forced their surplus opium crop from their South Asian colonies into the Chinese market, creating massive demand from millions of addicts. The Chinese government, which had banned the use and sale of opium, was alarmed at the growing social chaos created by mass addiction and went to war with the Western powers to halt the flood of drugs. Their defeating at the hands of the British and their Chinese drug lord allies opened China to massive exploitation and pillage for the next century. Chinese opium addicts were a tremendous obstacle to organizing national resistance. In essence, the British East India Company and its imperial protectors transformed China into the history's largest shithole until an earth-shattering revolution broke the chains of addiction and degradation. In the 21st century, a similar process of deterioration has been occurring internally in the United States. The prescription opioid epidemic is ravaging American families, neighborhoods, communities, cities and states, shredding the entire fabric of U.S. society, especially in rural, mining and former manufacturing Rust Belt regions. Hundreds of thousands of mostly working-class victims have died and millions of addicts, unable to resist the destruction of their futures, have replaced a once powerful labor force. Official government studies estimate almost 700,000 deaths since 1999, based on the scattered and incomplete coroner reports and death certificates that characterize the state of vital statistics in the U.S. There is no uniformity in data collection and no interest in developing a uniform national system on which to formulate social policies. Most likely additional hundreds of thousands of drug deaths have gone unrecorded or attributed to pre-existing medical conditions, suicides and accidents, despite clear evidence of overprescription of narcotics and sedatives in the victims. The U.S. opioid epidemic accounts in large part for the declining numbers of workforce participants among prime-age workers, according to Senate testimony by Federal Reserve Chairwoman Janet Yellen, an Obama appointee. An estimated 15% of U.S. construction workers suffer from substance abuse. The escalating costs of Suboxone and other forms of narcotic addiction treatment threaten to bankrupt the health plans of several building unions. Shortages of qualified American skilled building trade workers further allow employers to push for more immigrant labor to fill the gap. For over 2 decades, the escalating numbers of opioid overdose deaths were ignored by both political parties, as well as by writers and academics of the left and right. Doctors and hospital administrators were either actively complicit or in denial. But more important, the Federal Drug Administration, FDA, continued to approve manufacture, marketing and prescribing of highly addictive narcotics and sedatives to tens of millions of American patients, earning the pharmaceutical industry scores of billions in profits despite the devastation. Between 1999 to 2014, pharmaceutical manufacturers were earning $10 billion each year in profits from the sale and distribution of opiates. In the following section, we will discuss the larger picture, including the powerful socio-economic and political forces that have profited from the addiction and killing of millions of Americans, past and present. This deliberate policy, with strong neo-Malthusian overtones, has decimated a sector of the U.S. working class, rendered surplus or redundant by political economic decisions of the American ruling elite. In its wake, the prescription addiction crisis has turned large swathes of the former manufacturing and mining sectors of the U.S. into what the current President Donald Trump would characterize as domestic shitholes, and populated by what his rival, Hillary Clinton, callously derided as deplorables. In terms of rapid loss of life and social stability, this population devastation mirrors the patterns seen in countries subjected to US EU neoliberal economic dictates or to US EU imperial invasions. The addiction power elite. Today there is a public frenzy among government officials clamoring for hearings and legislation to address the opioid addiction crisis, with the usual solutions of more imprisonment, expensive private addiction treatment centers, volunteer support groups, self-help courses and educational just say no campaigns. No policymaker has dared suggest educating the victims about the socio-economic trends and elite decisions that devastated their lives and communities and sent them onto the death spiral. David Aaron Kessler, APR 2009 JPG. Former FDA Administrator David Kessler. Recently, a few leftist journalists have attacked the pharmaceutical industry, while others have cited the lack of oversight from the U.S. Federal Drug Administration, asking for a few tepid reforms. The former FDA Administrator David Kessler, who served under the Clinton regime from 1990 to 1997, belatedly condemned his agency's negligence over the mass destruction caused by unregulated prescription of powerful narcotics, which he admitted after 10 years of silence was one of the biggest mistakes in the history of modern medicine. Editorial NIT May 6, 2016. While hundreds of thousands of Americans have been killed by opioids and hundreds more are dying every day, at least 65,000 in 2016, the U.S. left and the Democratic Party focus on narrow gender identity issues and cartoonish hearings over Roshigat Moscow's alleged plot to seize control of the U.S. presidential election, while touting her experience in healthcare reform. Candidate Hillary Clinton deliberately ignored the opioid addiction crisis during her campaign, except to characterize its largely white lower-class victims as deplorables, ignorant racists and buffoons, whom she implied deserve their misery and shortened lives. The drug epidemic in the U.S. is all about the current structure of power and social relations in an increasingly oligarchic state amidst growing class inequalities and immiseration. At its roots, American capitalism in the 21st century has degraded, impoverished and exploited U.S. workers and employees with increasing intensity over the past 2 decades. Workers have lost almost all collective influence in the workplace and in politics. Working conditions and safety have deteriorated, while capitalists hire and fire at will. Salaries, pensions, healthcare and death benefits have been slashed or disappeared. The deterioration of working conditions is accompanied by a marked decline in social conditions. Family, neighborhood and community life has been torn asunder. Anxiety and insecurity are rampant among workers and employees. In real terms, life expectancy in the affected areas has dropped. Youth and worker suicides are skyrocketing. Maternal and child mortality are up. American youth are 70% more likely to die before adulthood than their counterparts in other rich countries. In 2016, death rates for millennials, ages 25-34, rose to 129/100,000, with 35/100,000 deaths due to narcotic overdose. The carnage surpasses the height of the U.S. AIDS epidemic in the 1980s. Rural and small-town child protective services are well beyond the breaking point with the neglected and orphaned children of addicts. Neonatal intensive care units are overwhelmed by the number of infants born into life-threatening acute opiate withdrawal crises due to their mother's addiction. Despite this grim picture, taxes for the rich are being slashed and public services decimated. Meanwhile, the income gap between the working class and the oligarchs has widened and a sharp class-defined healthcare and educational apartheid has emerged. Children of the upper 20% have exclusive, privileged access to elite universities based on family and ethnic ties. Elite families, who have no need for health insurance, have access to the most thorough and advanced medical services in the world. No physician would dream of irresponsibly prescribing narcotics to a family member of an oligarch. These inequalities are deeply entrenched. Working people in the areas affected by the opioid epidemic receive only cursory and inadequate, if not incompetent, care from physician assistants and overburdened nurses. They are subjected to long waits in deteriorating emergency rooms and rarely see a physician. Virtually none have regular family physicians. If they are injured or suffer from pain, they are prescribed long courses and large amounts of narcotic painkillers, opioids, instead of the safer, but more expensive physical therapy and non-addictive medications. This has occurred with the approval of the FDA. Even rural high school students with sports injuries would receive narcotics. Despite the well-known increased susceptibility to addiction among youth, politically powerful pain lobbies, funded by the giant pharmaceutical corporation, have pushed this trend for over 2 decades, creating huge profits for the billionaire pharmaceutical executives. The opioid killing fields of America have their origins and logic in the convergence of several interrelated features of U.S. capitalism. This was due to the relentless pursuit of profits for the corporations and elite, while turning the deindustrialized and agricultural parts of the country into domestic third worlds. First, the capitalist class cut the production costs by limiting access to quality health care.
I have created 5 YouTube channels with over 5 million subscribers. And I just created a free 4-part video series that teaches you how to do the same. If you're interested, click the link at the bottom left of your screen. And if you're not, then no hard feelings. Just skip this ad.
YouTube has changed again and again, but you can stay ahead of the curve moving into 2017 with these 5 ways to grow your YouTube channel and audience quickly with the new YouTube algorithm changes. Let's take a look. My name is Vox and I've worked for YouTube MCN for the past 3 or so years. I've been YouTube certified in audience growth for the past 2 years or so. I've been on YouTube in various forms and fashions since the beginning. All of this experience has led me to help coach some pretty awesome channels, and now I'm giving my tips and tricks to you. Here's my top 5 ways you can grow your audience and your YouTube channel in 2017. These first 3 tips will relate directly to the new YouTube algorithm changes and what it focuses on most, while the last 2 are best practices that I will always recommend to grow a channel. I'd like to give a lot of valuable info for each point, so I will have time codes in the video description for each tip. Starting with number 1, if you really want your channel to grow quickly, you need to have daily uploads. Used to, we would recommend that people upload at least once a week to run a channel at all, with the ideal schedules being 3 days a week. Now I honestly recommend trying to post every single day, or at least on all 5 weekdays. The new YouTube algorithm focuses on daily active users, which is going to be heavily influenced by how frequently you post. So the more days you post on, the better your daily active user statistic is going to be. Not only that, but every single piece of content serves as an entry point to your channel, something new users can discover in search, related videos, or someone sharing it to someone else. The more videos you make, the better you'll get at it, and the bigger an archive you'll build up to bring viewers in. Tip number 2 is to balance your content and scheduling between covering trending topics, or tentpole programming, and creating long-lasting evergreen content. These two content types are key to growing a channel on YouTube or any content platform, but balancing them is more important than ever. 2016 was the year of trending topics and clickbait. Entire channels were built or revitalized on tentpole programming and clickbait alone. If you talk about current events, relevant issues, game releases, etc., and do it well enough with the right timing, you can rake in some serious views. However, I don't think that running on trending topics alone will be as valuable in 2017. More people than ever will be using this tactic, and thus competition will be high for just about any topic area. And it's super easy for independent channels to get beat out by channels with full teams behind them that can move much quicker on a topic. Secondly, YouTube continues to implement changes that focuses more and more away from subscribers and subscription views and more on related videos. Subscribers are the driving force behind metrics that can get a tentpole video ranking in search and related videos, and if less subs are seeing your video, that video may be less likely to do well. Instead, I feel a strong balance between both tentpole programming and creating bigger, longer lasting, evergreen content that will get views over a long time will do best for your channel. And this is due to the change YouTube has made for tip number 3. Emphasis on overall watch time and audience retention has pivoted instead to overall watch minutes. This is literally what it sounds like, the total number of minutes watched that a video generates. From 2015 to early 2016, the overall focus was on audience retention. We saw a lot of channels grow by releasing 3-minute videos that viewers would consistently watch all 100% of. YouTube switched later in the year to watch minutes, and those same channels went from 3-minute videos to videos just over 10 minutes in length. Now it doesn't matter if viewers watch 100% of your video or only 25%. What matters is how many total minutes they watched in the video. So for tip number 3, that's what you should focus on in your video, getting people to watch as many minutes of your video content as possible. Now, I don't mean just go and make a ton of super long videos. If your videos are boring, people still won't watch much of them, and that still won't help you. Instead, you've got to play to your strengths. If you make really good, short, and concise content that lots of people watch all the way through, keep doing that. Lots of playthroughs and shares will add up. If you can balance your content out and keep people engaged throughout longer videos, make those. Or if you can spin your content into a series and get people watching through entire playlists, even better. The system is designed specifically not to be gamed, so this isn't a cheap trick that you can just do and gain success magically. Your content still has to be good and worth watching in the first place. Always remember that. Alright, tip number 4 is to focus strongly on crafting catchy, click-worthy titles. I'll say it, clickbait. Here's the thing about clickbait though. It's not all bad. It is literally baiting people to click, which we've been taught how to do ever since we did persuasive writing in elementary school when they're like, oh, that title's boring. Make it more hooky, more grabby. What people actually have a problem with is misleading clickbait. That feeling when you open up a website or a video only to find that it has nothing to do with what you were expecting based on the title or headline. That is not okay. But otherwise, the masses of people on the whole jump right at clickbait of all kinds every hour. News articles, websites, videos, tweets, the art of creating a title worthy of being clicked on is actually very important. So instead of keeping boring titles out of principle or some romantic sentiment to how things used to be, it's a smart idea to make your titles as catchy as possible and as click-worthy as possible, if you have any hope of competing in 2017. Then, let your content deliver on your title's promise. Lastly, following in line with the last tip, catchy thumbnails are more important than ever. Your video needs to stand out visually with the title and thumbnail playing well together. The thumbnail should prominently feature the subject of your video with minimal text. Don't just type your video title over top of the thumbnail. That is what the title is for in the first place. Instead, add to the overall impression that the title and thumbnail create together. You have to find a balance between time spent on your thumbnails and overall results gained, but the better the thumbnails will almost always result in more clicks. But again, Don't mislead anyone. And that's it. My top 5 tips to grow your YouTube channel quickly in 2017. Which tip was your favorite? Have any questions? Comment down below. Otherwise, smash the like button if you enjoyed, get subscribed for more awesome tech videos, and I'll see you in the next one.
But there's also a very other simple but important shot here, and that's this 50-50. It's a good confrontational angle. They say there are only 7 stories. I think there might only be 1 story. We all understand stories. It makes us believe we can all direct, and we probably all can. We all have our own instincts. What we have to do is back up that instinct with something called craft. I really want to demystify the role of the director. I'm going to stage a scene and let you watch me work with the actors, and action.
I thought today was a huge improvement.
Are you nuts? Play to each other. Are you nuts? Okay. You know, a beat of looking this way. Have the courage to face them a little bit. Well, I thought it was great. Is this a moment of momentum and drive? Or is this the conclusion of something? You know all these things intuitively, but as a director, you have to move beyond your intuition. There is no more powerful tool than a great actor making a strong performance choice. Collaboration fails all the time. Everything we do in this process fails all the time. You're in this role as kind of editor-in-chief of a lot of ideas. That alone will never really make the movie work. We all want the same thing: a great moment, a great scene, a great movie. This is what it takes, right? Ultimately, you are the storyteller. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how big your crew is, it doesn't matter how much money you have to spend, it's what you're capturing inside the frame lines that's gonna have this impact on the audience, or not. Go out, find a story you love, and tell it. Very good work. I'm Ron Howard, and this is my masterclass.
Hey guys, it's Sebastian from Ask Sebi, and today we're going to talk about our first impressions of the new Starbucks Chase card. So this video is a bit late just because initially we had a video talking about the leaked video and kind of our first thoughts based off that, but now that we have all of the details, let's talk about the new card. The funny thing is that this was initially going to be just a first impressions video, but I think it ended up turning into a whole review video. The first thing is that the card has a $49 annual fee, but you still have to pay foreign transaction fees. The reason that's weird is because most cards that have annual fees typically don't have foreign transaction fees. If you look at most cards anyways, there's probably some cards that still do, but I would argue that's not really typical, and that's not really a good starting point. This card earns Starbucks stars, and the first thing we need to figure out is how much these stars are worth. You need 125 stars for any free item or any free drink, but that typically only includes food. On average, I would guess that most items cost about $5, but it really depends on you. So for me, whenever I have enough stars, I'm going to get the most expensive thing I can because there's no reason not to. Note that you can't really use these stars towards other purchases. So again, I wish I could buy cups or bags of coffee or just some other stuff other than just one specific food or drink item. When using the card, you're going to get 1 star for every $4 spent outside of Starbucks, and then you're going to earn 1 star for every $1 spent at Starbucks when you're reloading your Starbucks balance. You'll notice in their marketing that they mentioned that you get 3 stars, but 2 of the stars that they're talking about are based off you having green or gold status. So this means if you use a Starbucks card or... Hey guys, it's Sebastian from Ask Sebi.
sommes Anonymous, nous sommes Légion, nous ne pardonnons pas, nous n'oublions pas, attendez-vous à nous.
And lift off, lift off.
Don't put anything past Elon Musk. He just might do it. Musk's The Boring Company was selling flamethrowers. They were available for $500. The company has already sold out of the 20,000 it made available. The flamethrowers, which will bring in $10 million total for Musk's The Boring Company. Elon Musk founded The Boring Company in 2016. The company is focused on tunnel boring in traffic-heavy cities. It's being led by Steve Davis, a SpaceX engineer.
Hi, everybody. This just in. Fidel Castro's son commits suicide. Cuban state-run media. Havana, Cuba. The son of late Cuban revolutionary leader Fidel Castro Diaz Balart, committed suicide on Thursday after being treated for months for depression, Cuban state-run media reported. Diaz Balart, who had been attended by a group of doctors for several months due to a state of profound depression, committed suicide this morning. Cuba Debate website said. Castro Jr., 68, also known as Fidelito, because of how much he looked like his father, had initially been hospitalized for depression and then continued treatment outside of the hospital. Well, how about that? That's very interesting. I know that with the attack on the embassy over there, maybe some of those sound waves have been getting to him. With all this corruption in the world being corrected, I wonder if this is what is happening here, or if this is just suicide. All right, those were the possibilities. Have a good day.
Hidden in plain sight. That was the Cold War mantra for a handful of people who built and maintained for years a secret nuclear bunker nestled deep inside a mountain at the Greenbrier Resort in southern West Virginia. In this chute, from here, lawmakers are then ushered.
But this evening, the murals James Franco personally painted are gone. KPX5's Kit Doe is live at Palo Alto High with the story behind this vanishing artwork. Kit?
Yeah, it turns out James Franco has multiple paintings in different locations throughout the school here. But the superintendent today said, given that everything that's happened and
Super Affiliate here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Google Insights to verify that the niche that you're entering into with your affiliate marketing campaign is on the upswing rather than on the downswing. All right, so there are certain niches out there that are more fad-based, and you want to make sure before you jump in one of these niches that you're coming in before the fad is taken off, or at least when it's starting towards the bottom here. All right, so this builds off the Amazon Launchpad video that I did yesterday. This will just help you verify that things are going to be okay when you enter into a particular niche. All right, so let's get to the good stuff and jump right into the video, and I'll show you exactly how to use Google Insights to make more money and be more secure with your affiliate marketing. Here we go. All right, Debbie, so we're actually going to use Google Trends rather than Google Insights. They've made Insights a lot more complicated and advanced for the purposes that we need, so we're going to stick with Google Trends. So head over to Google, type in Google Trends. Now the reason why we're doing this is to confirm the niche that we're entering into is on the upswing rather than the downswing. All right, so I'm going to give you 3 examples, and this will hopefully help you to be able to understand the data that you see. So type in Google Trends, go to Google Trends, and you're going to be hit with a page that looks just like this. Now, whatever your niche is or that product that you're trying to sell, you enter that into this box. If you remember my previous video with Amazon Launchpad, one of the products that I looked at was a natural laundry detergent. So in this video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that product category, which is natural detergent, and what I'm gonna do is check Google Trends to make sure that that niche is actually on the upswing or it's at very least stabilized. All right, so you type that in. So it'd be like natural detergent, whatever yours is, type that in. And here are the results. All right, so you can see by the graph that the niche is on the upswing. All right, so what you're looking at here is a pretty healthy graph. You see that over time, the trend is that it's going upwards slowly but surely. That's something that I like to see in a niche that I'm going for. So I can bet from this that there's a good chance that within the next 3 to 4 years, this natural detergent niche, there's going to be demand for it. All right, there is a little upswing here. I'm not too concerned about that. That might even be a good thing. I don't know, maybe this natural detergent is really taking off because of this new age, like millennial save the environment stuff, which is pretty cool. But there might be a chance that this is really going to take off. All right, here's another keyword that I would type in. This one is affiliate marketing. So this is the affiliate marketing keyword. All right, so you see here in 2009 and 2010, that was the biggest peak in the affiliate marketing niche. So I was around back then. I remember this. This is what people call the good old days in the affiliate marketing business. You can see, though, it dropped off quite a bit after 2012, 13, and 14. But you can see here it's starting to make a comeback. Now, the good thing is with this niche is that, yeah, it went down for a bit, but I know just from the human nature that people are always looking for new business opportunities, more ways to make money. So with these types of niches, there is usually a pretty natural up and down. There are good years, there are bad years with niches like business opportunity, health, etc. Here's another one. This is what you don't want to see. All right, this is the Atkins diet. I don't know if you were around or you know about that. It's basically like this low-carb diet. It turned out to be not so healthy. You can see in 2004, it was super popular. This one was really big. And then like these reports came out that said it might not be so healthy after all. And you can see it's completely died out. It went from a score of 100 to 6 and 5. All right, so the key with this tool, Google Trends, is just to confirm that you're in a niche that is either growing or it's stabilized. And the reason why I'm teaching you this is because in the past when I was getting started, I remember I built this site. I thought it was going to take off, but it was in this fatty niche. And basically, like, I built it during the time where it was really at the bottom and it never really recovered. It was a complete waste of time. So you want to make sure that that's not the niche you're entering into. Oh, by the way, real quick, here's an additional tip. If you scroll down, there's a section here where it says related queries and related topics. These related queries, these are showing you basically what search terms are breaking out. So these are ones that are exploding. So you see that natural dishwashing detergent, look at that. There's a huge explosion in searches for this particular keyword. So you might want to put a video together targeting that keyword or make content on your blog specifically targeting the breakout keywords so that you can start ranking for them and getting traffic for it. All right, so here's another one, laundry detergent recipe, another breakout term. All right, so I hope you see the value in using Google Trends. Make sure that you check everything that you do with Google. Woo doggy! What is up, deadbeats? In this video, woo doggy! What is up, deadbeats? In this